So I'm going to say something that you guys might not like, but the truth is that most people are idiots when it comes to their finances, especially when it comes to buying a home. And I want to show you a few examples of that coming up. So the average car payment is now more than $700 per month. Some people are now spending over $11,000 to see Taylor Swift. The average Super Bowl ticket cost an eye-watering $11,000 this year. And a loan officer said, I'm seeing middle-class home buyers take on $7,000 mortgage payments, thinking they can always refinance when rates come down in the future. So does any of this seem remotely normal? Of course not. And this idiotic spending is one of the big reasons as to why things are so expensive in this economy, especially with home prices, as you're about to see. What's going on, my YouTube friends? This is Jerry Abbott, your #1 real estate resource here in beautiful Las Vegas. Hey guys, a couple of real quick things before we dive into the video. If this is your first time to the channel and you want to learn the cold hard facts about the U.S. economy, the U.S. real estate market, and specifically the Las Vegas real estate market, then definitely subscribe to the channel down below. Number 2, if you happen to like the content in today's video, make sure to press that thumbs up like button, guys. That would really help the channel out. And number 3, if you are thinking about relocating to beautiful Las Vegas, whether it's next month or next year, I've got your back. I'm a local real estate agent here. I've lived here for nearly 20 years. I know every inch of this city. When that time is right for you, definitely reach out to me. Just call, text, or email me anytime, and I'll help you find that perfect dream home. Let's dive into the rest of the video. So as you just saw in the intro of the video, consumer spending is completely out of control, and much of that is coming from a new term called spaving. Take a look at this short 30-second video clip.
Have you ever bought something just because a website offered free shipping? What about falling for a buy one, get one free deal? Or overspending on a limited time offer? You probably answered yes, because these tactics are effective, and we all fall for them.
Repeatedly in our consumer insights data, we see this high demand for promotions, for discounts, for value.
It's called spaving, or spending more to save more. But it's a financial pitfall that could seriously affect your wallet if left unmanaged. And it's especially attractive to cash-strapped Americans during high inflationary times.
If you're putting those purchases on a credit card that you can't pay off in full at the end of the month, then you're spending about 20% or more in interest, which will quickly erase any savings.
So this is happening across all sectors of the economy, but let's dial this in specifically to the real estate market. Right now, there are millions of renters out there spending $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month on rent, so they run out to go buy a home, not realizing all of the other costs associated with home ownership. Or people see that inventory is low, so they run out to buy a home. Or they see that interest rates now drop below 7% and they run out to buy a home. This is all very similar to FOMO, which stands for fear of missing out. But no matter how you slice it, this is terribly misguided, idiotic, and the surest way to ruining your financial future. In fact, in the next segment, I want to show you just how absurdly unaffordable it is right now for the average person to own a home. All right, so let's take a look at this US map graphic. Now, this is very interesting. I know it takes up the whole page, but I'm going to zoom into certain parts of the country here to show you guys different states and the required income that you need to buy the average price point. Now, if we take a look in the top left here, you can see it says the household incomes required to buy a home. And then there's a little color gradient bar here where the lowest part is $55,000 all the way up to $202,000. So the darker colored states require a higher annual income just to afford the average price point home in those particular states. And the lighter colored states require a lower income because the average home price is lower in those particular states. So let's do this. Let's zoom in on a couple of states here just to show you what kind of income is needed just to afford the average home price in those particular states. All right, so let's first focus in on the northeast part of the country. Now, I clicked on the state of New York, and you can see just above my picture, it says minimum required annual income, $155,000 per year. Median listing price for a home is $652,000 per year. Now, if we click off that and then we click on Massachusetts, which is an even darker state, you can see that the minimum required annual income is $185,000 per year, and the median listing price is a whopping $777,000. All right, so now let's go down to the Mid-Atlantic area. Now, I clicked on the state of Virginia. You can see just above my picture, minimum required annual income, $100,000, median list price, $422,000. So you can see as you go down to the Mid-Atlantic area, it's a little bit less expensive and you don't need as much income. Now, if we go down here to Florida, we click on Florida. Florida right here shows a minimum required income right next to my picture of $109,000, median list price $459,000. All right, so now I moved up here to the middle part of the country and I clicked on the state of Illinois. The minimum required annual income to afford the average home price here is only $70,000 a year because the median list price is only $297,000. If we go right next door to Missouri, it says the minimum required annual income is only $69,000 and the median list price is only $291,000. If we go next door here to Kansas, again, $71,000 is the required annual income to afford the average median list price of $298,000. All right, so now we're going to move to the south and the western part of the country. Now, I clicked on Texas, which is the largest state in the country, and you can see right in that box right next to my picture, minimum required annual income, $85,000. So again, that's not too bad because that's close to the average household income, which in America is about $75,000, $80,000 right now. Median list price, $359,000. So again, that's not too bad of a list price in the state of Texas. Now, if we go just to the opposite, let's go to the most expensive state right here in Hawaii. When I click on Hawaii, the minimum required annual income is the highest in the country, $202,000, with the median list price of $850,000. All right, so let's run through a few more states on the western side of the country. I clicked on Colorado. Minimum required annual income, $141,000. Median list price, $594,000. If we go down here into Arizona, minimum required annual income, $119,000. Median listing price, $503,000. If we go to my state here in Nevada, minimum required annual income, $114,000. Median list price, $481,000. And then if we go over to California, which is one of the darkest colored states in the country, you need a minimum required annual income of $173,000 with the median home list price of $730,000. So the bottom line is that when you take a look at this US map graphic, it really just depends on where you want to live in the country. If you live in the northeast part of the country or you live in the western half of the country, you definitely need a higher annual income just to afford the average home price there because things have really got out of hand in terms of the price points for homes in those particular parts of the country. But if you live in the middle part of the country, you don't even really need to earn a six-figure income to afford the average price point. So again, the old real estate expression is location, location, location. It all depends on where you want to live because again, the eastern side and the western side are the most expensive areas and the middle part of the country is where it's more normalized. Now, drilling down more specifically into the Las Vegas real estate market where I happen to be located, I want to show you some examples of Las Vegas homes for sale that, in my opinion, are massively overpriced, as well as a few other examples where the home price actually closed far below the original list price. Let's take a look at those right now. All right, so now I'm on the popular real estate platform Zillow, and I want to show you 4 separate examples of Las Vegas homes for sale here, broken into 2 categories. The first 2 examples that I'm going to show you are overpriced homes, in my opinion, and then the last 2 examples I'm going to show you are homes that were originally listed at a certain price point that actually closed and sold for a much lower price point. So let's start with the first 2 here that, in my opinion, are massively overpriced. So take a look on the left side of the screen. This Las Vegas home for sale is currently listed at $1.1 million. It's a 6-bedroom, 4-bath, just about 4,000 square foot home, but I want to show you down below in the price history where this home originally sold for just 2 years ago compared to this massive current list price right now. So focus your attention down here at the bottom of the screen. Down in this blue highlight down here in the bottom left, the date says 1/22/2024. So right at the beginning of the year in January, this home sold for $665,000. If we look at the date just above it, it says June 2nd, 2024, they relisted this home for a massive $1.1 million. So these sellers just randomly decided to increase the price of this home $435,000 more in less than 6 months from when they bought it back in January. If I were your real estate agent, I wouldn't tell you to walk away from this home. I would tell you to run away from this home because, again, there are a lot of delusional sellers out there that are just randomly attaching a price to a home, trying to find a naive buyer when this is really, again, not true value. And you've got to do your due diligence. You've got to have a real estate agent that really runs the comps and know those true values because, again, in the history of real estate, home prices never go up this much in such a short period of time. All right, so now let's take a look at this second Las Vegas home for sale. Now, this is actually a new home construction community that's being built from a large national home builder called Lennar Homes. Now, here's the thing. Take a look at the top right. It says from $579,000. So that's the starting point of these particular new homes that are being built here in the Las Las Vegas area. But more importantly, take a look down here in the bottom right in this blue highlight, right where I'm moving the arrow. If you take a look at the date there, the date says 4/10/2024. So that's about 3 months ago. Take a look at where they originally listed these homes for sale. $999,000. So basically, they started at about $1 million price point. But if we look just above it, the date says right there, 5/7/2024. They removed the listings of these particular homes. Then if we look right above it again, it says 5/20/24. They relisted the homes at a massive reduction of about 40% to $609,000. And then right near the end of June, about a month later, they reduced them again to the current prices where the starting points now are at $579,000. So let's just stop for a second and take a very big, deep breath. This home builder just 3 months ago was trying to sell these new homes for about $1 million starting price point. And 3 months later, they've now reduced them down to $579,000. That's about a 45% reduction in just the last 3 months. Again, guys, this is what I'm talking about. There's a lot of builders, a lot of sellers, and a lot of investors that are starting at a high price point that they know they are not being realistic with. And then eventually, because buyers are not that naive, they are being forced to reduce these homes. And in this particular instance, they are massively being reduced because, again, they are not even remotely realistic to what the true value is in this current market. All right, so now let's switch gears for just a second. Now, there's a lot of Las Vegas homes for sale here that I could show you on these popular real estate platforms like Zillow, where they're massively overpriced, in my opinion, like I just showed you in those previous examples. But a lot of people are asking me, do these homes actually close for the original list price, or do they actually end up selling for a lower list price? And that's what I want to show you in these couple of examples. I want to show you a luxury example first, and then I'm going to show you an example that's closer to the average price point to show you how much lower the homes are actually closing for in many instances that are below the original list price. All right, so let's look at this previous Las Vegas home for sale that closed back at the end of April, just to show you the closing price compared to the original list price. Take a look at the bottom right here in this blue highlight down at the bottom right. The date down there says 8/23/2022. So this home was originally listed nearly 2 years ago for a whopping $3.75 million. They were not able to find a buyer for quite a long time, and you can see the price changes just above it as I scroll up. They dropped it to 3.5, they dropped it to 3.2, then they dropped it to about 3 million, then 2.7, and then all the way up here as I scroll all the way up here to the top, right here that finally sold for $2.4 million. So let's just stop and think about this for a second, even though I know the vast majority of people cannot afford a multi-million-dollar home. This home was listed about 2 years ago for $3.75 million. And about 18 months later, in April of this year, the buyers bought this home for $2.4 million. That's a $1,300,000 price reduction, or about 35% from the original list price. Now, again, I know most people are not luxury buyers, but even a luxury buyer who just sat on the sidelines and waited things out got a $1.3 million price point reduction because, again, the sellers were just trying to throw some fantasy land, huge price point number out there, hoping to find a naive buyer. And again, these buyers were at least smart, waited things out, and they were able to get it at a much more affordable price point. Again, even though it's a luxury price, this is a much lower price than the original list price. All right, so now let's take a look at this previous Las Vegas home for sale that closed at the end of February at a much lower price point than the original list price. So if we take a look down here at the bottom right in this blue highlight, the date down there says 5/19/2023. So that's a little bit over a year ago when this home was originally listed for $900,000. They were not able to find a buyer, and they went through a series of price reductions here. You can see just above it, $888, $874, $849, $834. And as we keep scrolling up here, it finally closed. You can see where it says sold for $755,000. All right, so again, let's roll the clock back. About 14 months ago, when this home was originally listed for sale, they listed it at $900,000. The buyers bought this home 9 months later at a massively reduced price point of $755,000. So that's about a $150,000 price reduction on this particular home before buyers finally came in and made an offer at that lower price point and they got it accepted. So again, sellers were far too high on the original list price and the buyers came in smartly at a much lower price point and got it for about $750,000. So this again just proves my point here in the Las Vegas real estate market. When I see so many homes that are overpriced or homes that are closing at much lower than the original list prices, it just goes to show you that if you're a buyer, being patient is the best option in my opinion, because again, home prices over the last couple of years since the pandemic ended have skyrocketed. But what's happening now is sellers are getting a taste of reality. They cannot get those fantasy land prices. And again, they're either going to sit on the market or they're going to go through massive price reductions. So if you can be patient, regardless if you're a luxury buyer or an average price point buyer, in my opinion, these prices are going to continue to come down. So those are just a few of the many examples of Las Vegas homes for sale that completely prove my point in terms of how out of whack the entire Las Vegas real estate market is. And it doesn't just go for Las Vegas, it's throughout the United States as well, as I showed you guys in that earlier map video clip, where you need to earn a very significant income just to afford the average price point in many areas of the country. Now with that said, if you are in the market for a home, I have 2 pieces of advice for you. Number 1, I would not buy a home right now. I would wait things out until after the election. I think the election is going to have a lot of fireworks. I think when we get into 2025, we're going to start to see economic turmoil. The job market is potentially going to continue to weaken. Interest rates are likely going to stay elevated. And in my opinion, home prices are going to come down throughout the country. Number 2, if you are in the market to buying a home now, whether it's in the Las Vegas area or elsewhere in the country, my advice is to put in a lowball offer to the seller. Because again, a lot of sellers are overpricing their homes. They're not true value, and you have nothing to lose by putting in a lowball offer. So before we end today's video, I just want to give a shout out to my favorite comment from last week's video, and that goes to George. Now I'm going to put George's comments up here on full screen and then come back on the other side and comment on it. So George wrote, Jerry, what's really killing me is the property taxes. I live in California. I bought my little townhome in 2007. My house is only 679 square feet. The property tax was $4,500 a year. Now it's $8,300, almost double. The HOA was $250 a month. Now it's $450, also almost double. That is $13,700 a year going out the window for nothing. So that seems completely unreal, yet it's very real. I want to hear from you guys. I want you to drop me a comment down below. I read and respond to all of my comments. I want to know how high your property taxes have gone up, how high your HOA has gone up, or your rent, or even your grocery bill. And my favorite comment from this week's video, I'm going to give a direct on-screen shout out to in next week's video. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I also hope you appreciate my transparency. You know that I'm always going to keep it 100% real on this channel regarding the economy and the real estate market. So here's the deal, guys. We know inflation and corporate greed are completely out of control and very much eating into most Americans' paychecks. But the bigger problem, really, in my opinion, is millions of Americans that are feeding into the corporate greed and inflation by recklessly spending constantly on things they have no business buying. And that's why there's so much financial despair with millions of people throughout this country. Now, when it comes to buying a home, which is at the top of the food chain, a lot of people obviously are having difficulties with affordability because home prices and interest rates are so high. So again, my opinion, wait things out. Don't buy a home right now if you don't have to. If you are thinking about buying a home, try to find a good deal. Try to put in a solid offer that's below the asking price from the seller. Now, if you're looking to buy a home, especially here in the Las Vegas area, I've got your back. I'm a local real estate agent here. I've lived here for nearly 20 years. I know every inch of this city. When that time is right for you, definitely reach out to me. Just call, text, or email me anytime, and I'll help you find that perfect dream home. I'll see you guys in the next video.